Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Random Vlogging. Um, Today, I would like to talk about how YouTube is over. How everybody that works on YouTube, that makes a living off of YouTube, is basically screwed, and how the entire world is going to end. For those of you who have no idea what it is that I'm referencing here, recently some very, very big advertisers have been pulling their ads off of YouTube, mostly due to, or I guess started by a report in the Wall Street Journal, where the Wall Street Journal claimed that these ads for these companies' products were appearing on racist videos, on videos that were uploaded by terrorists and things like that. And so the Wall Street Journal made this outlandish claim that these ads were being used to fund racism and terrorism. That is... there have been multiple people that have been trying to refute these claims for a number of reasons, but it was enough that big names like Walmart and I think Pepsi and Coca-Cola, these are massive names in the marketing world. The strongest brand in the world is Coca-Cola. They have the strongest brand in the world, meaning they spend a lot of money on their marketing. And so these companies taking their ads off of YouTube is a big deal. It is, because that's how YouTubers make money. That's how Google makes money off of YouTube. And the entire reason that YouTube still exists is because it makes Google money. And as soon as it stops making money for them, or doesn't make enough money to justify them continuing to run it, they will shut it down. Because that's how the business world works. So everybody is talking about how YouTube is over and then everybody's screwed. Blah, 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 blah. None of that's true. I'm going to try it again. Total Biscuit made a pretty interesting video that I basically, or no, it wasn't even a video. It was just a tweet longer thing where he talked about actually... No, people aren't losing, millions of dollars in lost revenue and stuff like that. It's none of this stuff is real. It has everything to do with the fact that this time of year, CPM, which is how much money you basically make per 1,000 views, CPMs are low because nobody has money after the holidays that just passed, and viewership goes down around this time of year. And so, the drops in money that people are seeing is completely normal. And Total Biscuit should know, because he's been doing this for, at least 5 or 6 years. He might, I don't think he's been doing it as long as like Philip DeFranco or anything, but he's been doing it for a while. And there have been other people popping up, and H3H3 made a video that they later had to recant about them accusing the Wall Street Journal of doctoring the photos and things like that, which I still think has some merit, but there's not enough hard evidence to it to really make any accusations. And there's all these people that are freaking out about this, and they're like, oh my God, this means that YouTube is over and no one's going to be able to, and it's simply not true. And the reason why is because of economics and marketing, which is what I'm getting my degree in. Depending on how bad my life decides to get over the next 6 months, I'm almost done with my degree. I think I've got 4 courses left. I have gotten stellar grades in everything. I've gotten higher grades than some of my professors in certain courses like economics and, micro and macroeconomics. I find that really, really fascinating. And marketing, I also find fascinating. And the fact of the matter is, while yes, right now, these companies are taking their money away. They're taking their advertisements off of YouTube right now. And they're doing that because of this thing called opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is an economic principle that every businessman in the world understands if their business is making a profit. Opportunity cost, the easiest way to explain it is, let's imagine that there is this restaurant, and the restaurant itself has one employee. One employee. That employee has a limited amount of time to be able to do everything that they need to do. And the restaurant itself makes two different things. It makes pizzas and it makes salads. Now, I know this sounds weird. You guys might start talking about what pizza place makes salad, and I'm going to tell you all of them, and the salads are disgusting. But anyways, this is just using very, very basic numbers to illustrate a point. This is actually pretty close to the example that was given to me in my economics, I think my microeconomics textbook. So keep following, okay? Remember, restaurant, one employee. The restaurant's only open for 8 hours a day. And the employee has pizzas and has salads. Now, to use easy numbers, let's say that in a regular hour, and again, this isn't going to make a whole lot of sense, but let's say that there's a lot of other stuff this employee has to do. And so in a regular hour, they can make one pizza, or they can make two salads. They can't make both because it takes them an hour to make one pizza, and it takes them an hour, or it takes them half an hour to make a salad. So they can't do both. Opportunity cost is basically the idea that in an 8-hour day, this employee can make 8 pizzas or 16 salads or some combination of pizzas and salads. The opportunity cost is, the opportunity cost for making one pizza is 2 salads. That's the opportunity cost, because if they make one pizza, that takes up the time that they could have made 2 salads. And the opportunity cost for a salad is half a pizza. So if they make a salad, that takes up time that they could have made half a pizza in. Now, when you start adding monetary value to them, yeah, the pizza takes more time to make, but when it's sold, you make $4 off of it. You make $4 in profit, whereas the salad takes less time to make, but you only make $1 in profit. At that point, once you know all of those things, you can actually figure out what is going to make you the most profit if everything is sold, by comparing, okay, so each pizza makes me $4, and each hour of salad makes me $2. Okay, well, it makes more sense to make 4 pizzas and blah 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 blah. So anyway, that's how opportunity cost works. It's a lot more complicated than that when you start dealing with multi-million and multi-billion-dollar companies, because it's no longer one employee that can make 8 pizzas in a day. No, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of employees shipping literally millions of units of product. And marketing is entirely about opportunity cost and figuring out what is your best bang for your buck. And one of the most coveted things in marketing is the ability to target a very specific market. If you make a product in general, you're going to market that product to a specific audience. And the ability to not waste your time talking to everybody, but just talking to the people who you know want your product, who you know need your product, who you know are going to buy your product, is kind of the holy grail of marketing. That's what they want. They want hyper-targeted marketing, because every penny spent on marketing is money that they can't spend everywhere else. And that money has to have return on investment, ROI, has to have a positive return on investment. And once it gets to the point where it's actually costing them more to market the product than it is for the money that they're making off of the product, they have to change marketing tactics. And that's what's happening right now. The opportunity cost for marketing on YouTube has just increased. Because if they advertise on YouTube right now, because mainstream media has this witch hunt going where they're trying to destroy YouTube, and as much as some people will argue, well, yes or no, they are. They have a vested interest in it. The mainstream media has been losing money to YouTube because advertisers are taking their advertisements away from mainstream media, going to YouTube. And all these other things. So they do have a vested interest. Whether that is their single underlying goal, I'm not going to argue about. But they have a vested interest in this, and they have a bias in it. So anyway, the opportunity cost has increased now significantly. Because now YouTube offers very targeted marketing. Because they can target your specific ads to run on certain kinds of videos with certain tags, things like that. It's a fantastic tool for marketing people to be able to hit the exact demographic that they want. That's very, very valuable. However, now, mainstream media can now say, well, if you use this service, you're supporting terrorism, you're supporting racism, and that costs them money. That costs them a lot of money because as much as there's a phrase out there that says, there's no such thing as bad press. That's a lie. There is such thing as bad press. And being linked to terrorist organizations and racists is the bad press. Just ask, when is it? I think it's North Dakota or South Carolina. I don't know. Whoever passed HB2, whatever state that was, ask them about bad press. So anyway, any of these companies that continue to put their ads on YouTube without having a way to deflect the bad press, their opportunity cost has just skyrocketed because, yes, they have very targeted marketing, but they also have basically anti-marketing that's going on by these news journals that are making people not want to buy their product, which is actively asking people to not buy their product because they're claiming that these companies are supporting terrorism, that are supporting, they're helping racists get paid and things like that. None of that is true, by the way. However, it's a very effective tactic to get them to do what they want. People have done this often. That's why you see boycotts so often. And the mark of a successful boycott is changing the image of the company that you're attempting to boycott to the point where it actually costs them something. Most of the boycotts you see right now are completely pointless because they don't understand the idea behind an actual boycott, and they're not actually affecting the bottom line. They're just shouting a lot. But anyway, I get off topic. So anyway, that's what's happening right now is the opportunity cost has risen exponentially. And so as a way to save face and because it's simply not going to make them money, these companies are pulling out right now. Now, the weird thing about marketing is costs and markets change rapidly. The best example of this was when Trump won the presidency back in November. We saw this massive drop in the Dow, which is a measurement of the New York stock market and stock prices in general. I don't actually understand how the Dow works. I just know that it being higher is good and it being lower is bad. So there's a massive drop in the Dow, and everyone's going, oh, everything's going to die. And in like a week or two, it was at the highest it had ever been. Markets change rapidly. We have a 24-hour news cycle, meaning the stuff that people are getting freaked out about today, the reason that like the Wall Street Journal and the Daily Mail and all these other traditional media sites keep coming up with more news talking about this is because as soon as they stop talking about it, it goes away. It doesn't exist anymore. And because of that, you're also starting to see YouTube fight back. You're starting to see, H3H3 claiming that these guys are using doctored photos, which I think is possible. Thus far, the Wall Street Journal has done nothing to refute the claims, despite going, well, that's not true. And that's just about as effective proof as saying, liar, liar, pants on fire. So they have nothing to back up their claim that they didn't doctor these. There is evidence that these things could be doctored, or there's at least enough evidence to create doubt. And that's all that needs to happen. And again, I keep talking, I've mentioned in this video before, this idea of targeted marketing is extremely valuable. YouTube can offer incredibly targeted marketing. Depending on how much the ad companies are willing to pay and how much work Google is willing to do, ads can be targeted to very, very specific demographics. I can go into my analytics and I can tell you exactly who watches my video. I can tell you what country they're from. I can tell you what their ages are, what their genders are. I can tell you the split. I can tell you how long they watch. I can tell you what videos they watch longer and which ones they don't watch as much. And that's just what I have access to. Google has so much more information that they have access to. That is incredibly valuable in marketing. Because again, the more money you waste on people that don't want your product, the lower your return on investment. But if you can target just the people that you know want your product, that can really use your product, your return on investment is very high. And that's what's happening right now. And I think there's a good chance that it's going to change how YouTube works. But YouTube is not dead. And the best thing in the world that YouTubers can do right now, H3H3 and groups like that, if you guys want to continue fighting and trying to prove that these guys are lying, you're going to have an extremely difficult battle ahead of you. Because, to be blunt, media has been lying to us for years. They're very, very good at it. Catching them in their lies is going to be very difficult. And right now, they hold a lot of trust. So even if you do catch them in a lie, just because people trust them more than they trust YouTubers, they have the advantage. But I think it's important that we fight that way. However, I don't think all of YouTube should do that. What the rest of YouTube needs to do is exactly what we have been doing for 10 plus years. Creating great content that gets eyeballs in front of it. Because the more people we get watching our stuff, the more people that we get talking about our stuff and listening to us and trusting us as sources of information and things like that, the more valuable YouTube becomes and the less valuable these allegations become. Yes, these big advertisers have pulled out, and I will guarantee you that they will come back to YouTube because there's just so much money being left on the table if they just drop it completely. They may do it slightly differently. They may start partnering with channels specifically. Instead of paying Google, they may cut out the middleman and start doing much more sponsored content. So they have more control over what they do and where their ads go. They may just come back to doing everything once Google finishes what Google is doing right now, which is revamping what is advertiser friendly and all this stuff, like all that stuff. Google is revamping right now, and that might be enough to just bring them back. It's probably going to be a combination of the two, plus maybe new stuff. 10 years ago, YouTube didn't exist. We would never have this conversation. So talking about what's going to happen in the future, I mean, it's 10 years. I've been alive for almost triple that. In 10 years, the world has changed so insanely large that the idea of marketing has changed vastly to the point where people that only understand traditional marketing don't have jobs anymore, and they have to understand new media marketing and they have to understand the internet and things like that in order to keep their jobs. In 5 years, we don't know what's going to be happening. Next year, we don't know what's going to be happening. But I can tell you this, YouTube is a gold mine for marketers. It always has been. It took them a while to realize it, but it is. And the other thing that people don't quite understand is that they're only pulling, these big companies like Walmart are only pulling their ads from YouTube. They're still paying Google to advertise their stuff. They're just paying Google to only advertise it on their search engine instead of on YouTube for right now. So, like I said, this end of the world hype that YouTube is over and all this stuff, it's not. Eventually, traditional media is going to run out of things to complain about. They are. This is a witch hunt. They're doing everything they can to keep their jobs because there are a lot of people in traditional media that are losing their jobs. There are a lot of traditional media companies that are dying. And now with things happening like YouTube TV, isn't it strange that shortly after YouTube TV, which could kill cable companies and things like that, that right now rely on people paying for stuff, that YouTube TV is going to make significantly cheaper and easier for them? Isn't it strange that a few months after YouTube TV gets announced, this massive scandal starts? No, it's not convenient. It's not. This is targeted. This is on purpose. This is people that are trying to keep their jobs. And I think there's always going to be a place for traditional media, but they've got to step up their game. They've gotten so lazy. There's so much yellow journalism out of some of the most respected news sources in the world. Like I said, the Wall Street Journal used to be one of the most respected papers in the world. The New York Times, the LA Times. You know, these were big trusted newspapers, and people can't trust them anymore because they are extremely biased, and they let their biases show in their reporting instead of reporting unbiased news and letting their audience decide. They try and sway people, and they try and convince people to do certain things instead of just doing what they're supposed to do, which is to give us the information we need to be informed. We can't read, like, you can't just read the New York Times and be an informed person anymore. You can't. You can't just watch CNN and be an informed person. You got to watch CNN and Fox and MSNBC and a bunch of different online things just to get the whole picture now, because every single one of them is massively biased and is only showing you a tiny little portion. So that's what's happening right now, guys. The internet is not over. YouTube is not over. This ad thing is going to blow over. For a number of reasons. The biggest of which is YouTube is changing things. And the smallest of which is eventually the Wall Street Journal will run out of lies. They will. That's how it works. And then they'll have to come up with something new. So yes, this is how economics works. This is how marketing works. This is the career field I'd like to get into. This is business as usual. So yeah, stop talking about how the world is going to end. Stop talking about how YouTuber's over. It's not. It's incredibly valuable to marketers. They just have to find a way to use it without traditional media calling them racists and terrorists is all. All right? That's all for me today. I'll see you guys some other time because due to my life being incredibly crazy, I don't know the next time I'm going to upload a video like this, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye-bye.